Welcome back to another episode of the DEVpreneur. I'm joined by Tom, as always, as well as our friend Itai. Itai is the founder of Greywater's Information Security, and he is going to jump in, introduce himself, and tell us, a little bit about his background.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, Charlie. Thanks for being here, Tom. As you said, my name is Itai Marongwe. I'm the founder of Greywater's Information Security. It is a security consulting services company specifically around application security. My background really has to do with network engineering. It's what I went to school for. It's what I went to university for. But I always had this aptitude for application security, breaking things. And So in my fourth year, I just grew an interest into programming. A lot more than I did when I was younger, and that led me down the rabbit hole of creating things, understanding how they work, and then breaking them. And a few years later, I broke into cybersecurity at what do you want to call it? A machine learning insider threat detection company. And now I've just been in the world of cybersecurity, and I have no plans of leaving. That's about it. My background in a high level, actually.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Good answer. It's almost too good.
You got the edge
down. Okay. So why did you decide to get into application security or information security? And I guess as a kind of ancillary question, why did you decide to start Greywater's Information Security?
I got into application security because of my curiosity of how things work. Sure. Like I said, in my fourth year, actually, we had this one course. It was called Advanced Network Routing. And for a week, we talked about network security in the class. And our teacher was just going on and on about attacks that he's seen in the real world. He was a professor, and on the side, he did consulting from a network engineering perspective. But that week just got my interest. I started talking about things like file integrity monitoring. It was just a different way of looking at computers that I was used to. I was accustomed to looking at computers and building things. As a kid, I was messing around with things. So that kind of piqued my interest. When I got to choose my fourth year project, I decided to build something, to program something with an interface on a Linux distribution called Ubuntu. And so what I decided to do was basically package Aircrack NG. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but what it does is a tool that comes with Kali Linux that is used for pen testing wireless technologies. So like WEP, WPA2, that sort of thing. So I packaged these applications together and I created a UI in Python. It was just a great learning experience. And then I even attacked my own application as well. And it was just great. And from then on, I was like, you know what, this is definitely something I want to get into. So coming into the workforce at the end of my fourth year, I was like, man, how do I get a job? So what I decided to do is I needed to create something on top of my fourth year project to make me stand out from a lot of people and to show that I have the interest apart from just my fourth year project. So I taught myself Android development and I created OP Scanner, which is a port scanner in Java. It has to be Java because Android applications are written in Java. It was a bit hacky. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to learn. And I crammed that all really into one semester. And I pushed out an application called OP Scanner that I actually published in the Android application market.
Okay, so OP Scanner, is that like Open Port Scanner? Is that what that stands for?
That's exactly what that stands for. Yeah.
Okay, so you're checking for open ports. Was it like, I guess for like servers, like web application servers?
Exactly. So the idea is that you provide an IP address, whether it's local on your network or public on the internet, and it just checks for open ports.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah. And so you, I guess you fall into information security, or you start to really like it because you like tinkering with stuff and building stuff. Is that right? And you just thought it was a good environment to do that in?
That's right. And then in my first workplace, that inside a threat detection company, it's called Intercept, by the way. It's a great company with a great executive leadership team. In any case, I got a lot of opportunity to play around with things that were outside of my job roles, a lot of things that were security related. And, we use a lot of bleeding edge technologies, but what I got to play around with was just like front end UI stuff, things in the back end, understand how these technologies are architected. And then it made me more focused in application and software security. and it kind
Gotcha.
of took me away from network security. But all of it works together at the end of the day.
Okay. So how long ago did you start Greywater's information security? So you're doing that on the side, right? I know,
Right.
Tom knows, the two people listening may not. That
Let them know.
I'm
I
just
started
kidding. There's
Greywater.
like at least 12. So you're still working at Tulip
Yep.
full time.
Yep.
That's where we all met. And so you're doing Greywater's information security on the side. I'll let you jump back in. Sorry for cutting you off, but
Yeah,
when did you start
no
that?
problem. But that's right. I'm still at Tulip full time, and I do consulting on the side through Greywaters. I started Greywaters last year. I officially registered it.
Okay.
I did consulting gigs. I gave security advice to people.
Yeah.
But Greywaters was started in August of last year.
Okay, so it's like kind of been around for more than that. It's just in an official capacity. It's been a year and a bit.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. And so, this is a consulting company, right?
That's right.
Gotcha.
It's a consulting company. I provide services. It's when I started it, I had really no idea all the services I was going to provide.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to see what the market would tell me, what people would require, and some of my engagements really were things a bit out of scope than what I expected. But obviously,
Gotcha.
I could do them, or so I wouldn't have accepted them. Most of the services I do provide for customers are like secure software architecture, secure source code review, and pen testing services.
Okay, so what does a typical engagement look like for you? Like I'm thinking in terms of, I guess what's required from the engagement as well as the time expectation.
So it really depends on how sizable and how complex the application is.
Okay.
But a typical engagement would look something as follows. I talk to the customer or whoever the representative is for, the client, and they would tell me what it is that they're looking for. This is a bit tricky answering. I've had engagements that were incident response. So they had the application running and they had a security incident, like somewhat of a breach. They hire me because they don't have the toolage to look into it. They don't have the know-how. I come in, I show them what happened. I build a timeline of what happened. I capture the logs. I build a story and say, hey, this is how you're compromised. This is your vulnerability. This is how you remediate it. And this is how you can basically stop any further breaches from happening for this particular issues and from other issues that I may have found during the assessment. And usually what they do after that, they take that and run with it, depending on which roads they want to go into. That can get complicated depending on what the breach is. But effectively, that's what an incident response will look like. A penetration testing engagement, which I've had a few of recently. One of them will be a developer or an entrepreneur is building an application. It's still in the alpha stage, and it's functional, it's running, and he wants to know of all the vulnerabilities. So I go through a methodology that I know from the Web Application Hackers Handbook, as well as a few others, and I test for broken authentication, session management, access control, broken versions of all of these things that I'm mentioning. Injection, process scripting, SQL injection, template injection for newer frameworks and languages. And basically, I create the report for them of my findings with severities for each type of vulnerability that I find. And I give them to them along with remediation steps. And, they go ahead and fix those problems. And I might provide them information as to how to make sure that they proceed to develop in a secure way going forward with the project.
Okay, so it's two things.
Like a high level. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the timeline. So it's a timeline of an incident that occurred or some sort of vulnerability or attack, as well as the kind of pen testing service / report you'll throw together using a bunch of resources and skills like the framework from the Web Application Hackers Handbook.
So just to clarify the first, I wouldn't say the first one is more of a timeline. Timeline is something they get within the report. The incident response is me going in and figuring out how they got breached, and then basically showing them how to not get breached, or fixing or providing them a fix for that. So
the timeline is just one of the outputs.
Yeah, because you need to build a story. What happened? What was exfiltrated? What exfiltrated? Or what was attacked? What did the hacker want effectively?
I love when I used to work in investment banking, we used to put together these really dinky timelines where it would be like a share price and volume chart for like trading volume. And we'd add these little flags for like stuff that happened in the market.
Yeah.
It was really stupid. But like I'm imagining like an incident timeline for an application that was hacked, and it sounds so much cooler.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, like a 2100 hours, whatever.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
But no, but effectively, yeah, you have that. You have somewhat of like a post-mortem, say at 2:52, I logged in at this time, and I looked at the syslog messages, and I saw this entry at 2:57. This guy messaged me, and we noticed this in the Nginx logs, and then we correlated the two and figured out the vulnerability had to do with an outdated version of a service on the system or something.
It's like CSI, except instead of crime, it's like log scene investigators. LSI.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. So you've been doing Gray Waters for, it sounds like around a year and a bit / 2 years now. So how have you, I guess, kind of found and grown your clientele since you started that?
Honestly, my clientele, because of what I do for a living, because I'm in cybersecurity as well as doing cybersecurity on the side, a lot of my friends and a lot of people that know me or that know the people I know have spread my name as a person, as a resource for cybersecurity concerns or security issues that they may have. So I found that word of mouth has been what's been propelling my business to go on. I actually haven't had to do any like dramatic outreach for my services yet. And as I'm slowly growing and building what is my business and the services that I offer, as well as honing in on what it is that I want to offer, it's growing at the right amount at the right pace. I have friends from different companies, friends who used to be at the current company who still reach out to me and basically provide business for me on behalf of, someone else that they know. So the word of mouth is really great.
I know the company I was working at until recently, like about a month ago, I thought of you when we were talking about pen testing. And so I couldn't reach out just because they had, there's a lot of politics there, but they had a couple, I guess, like pre-approved pen testing vendors.
Yeah. And that probably has to do with like compliance reasons and all these other things.
I honestly think they're probably just buddies with the people who made the decision.
Probably. But hey, don't stop thinking about me.
That's right. I mean, it's not that different than you and I guess, right? Yeah, I just don't have quite enough grays yet.
No.
Soon.
I get it.
Soon I'll be able to bring you in. Okay, yeah. So just kind of word of mouth. I mean, I think that's the best way to grow because it kind of just shows that people believe in you and you're top of mind, right?
Yeah, and honestly, if you follow me on, I was gonna say social media, all my social media platforms, which are only 3 of them: Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'm posting what I'm doing. I'm posting the hack the box things I'm doing. I'm probably posting the Hacker One, Capture the Flag events I'm in. I'm posting about the meetups in Toronto that I go to. I post about, the vulnerabilities that I exploit in test environments. So people see this and then they're like, oh, Itai, this is cool. I didn't know you know how to do this. I have a cousin who works in so-and-so who's looking for, these services or something. So these services being ethical pen testing and whatnot, of course.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. What's your Twitter handle?
Itai Maros.
Sorry, what is it?
Itai Maros. I never put my actual last name on social media, though you can find me on the internet if you just type my name. I don't know why. I feel like it's sacred for some reason.
Okay. I'm going to add you. That's what I was asking.
All right, cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Me too.
Cool. So, I mean, you kind of answered my next question, which was, what do you think has had the biggest impact on yourself since you started, which is, I mean, word of mouth. Is there anything you're thinking of? No?
I have a different answer to that. What is the biggest? Oh, sorry, on my sales? Yes, that'll be word of mouth.
Okay. Well, what were you thinking?
Oh, it's meant like in terms of my business and understanding where I should take it, which I guess is a separate question. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say effectively, the engagements I've had with customers has taught me a lot about what's out there in the market. There are a couple of perceptions about the technologies that are out there. And those perceptions are that you know what those technologies are, but you'll find that um, it could be anything. People stitch together applications, people hack together applications, people push applications to production that are still in alpha stages or that have
Yeah.
features that should not be deployed yet, or using outdated versions of like PHP, for example.
I
In
have no
2019.
idea what you're talking about.
Sometimes it's just like, you're like, oh wow, this is very scary, and I understand that the client doesn't know, and it's expected, right? We all know what we know, and what we don't know, we don't know. But it is a concern when you see certain technologies, certain frameworks still being in production in the wild right now. It's
Yeah,
just,
sometimes ignorance is bliss.
it really is, yeah.
I hear you. Okay. I mean, I guess this is kind of a good lead in to, my last formal question I have for you, which is just, do you have any other just general tips, tricks, suggestions for someone who's starting their own business and presumably a consulting business?
I think with consulting, one of the challenges I faced is I didn't know when and if I was ready to start it. But I always knew that I was super technical and I had the technical know-how to do a lot of these things because of
Yeah.
the projects I set myself onto, basically to develop my skills or to prove to someone, like for a job, that I was
Yeah.
capable. So those projects, those experiences that I've had, they helped me get to a level of confidence of basically saying, hey, you know what, I'm ready. But at some point prior to all that, I could have just been like, yeah, you know what, I am ready to be able to tell people and provide them good enough advice and security for this particular aspect, depending on where I was in my knowledge. And so I guess all I'm saying is that don't be afraid once you think you're reasonably ready or proficient at a particular skill set to provide a trusted people as a service. People specialize in different things. These people don't know about certain aspects in certain domains of knowledge or software development or software security. Yeah. So you're doing them a justice by providing them that service. But you also have to make sure that you actually know what you're talking about to a reasonable enough degree that, that you can provide them assurance that they will get the results they expect.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great advice. Mm-hmm. Tom, do you want to grill Itai with any questions?
I do have one question. So, like different industries or different fields that people have, they have their own places where they get a pulse. So like, for example, developers like to hang out on Twitter. So like, that's a good place to get articles that are shared or like little pieces of wisdom shared. What is, I guess in the security world, what are those places where you get a pulse in the industry and keeping and keeping up with like what's actually happening in the industry so that you can kind of be sharp?
That's fair. That's a good question. I always say, independent of security, I believe Twitter is probably the best space and the fastest way you can get this information. Now, to answer your question, in the context of security, it would still be Twitter, assuming you're following the right people. There are great Twitter people to follow out there, such as obviously like, what's this guy's name? The Grug. There's Got Milk. These are famous people in the security world. Not all of them actually have these 4-letter acronyms that people expect great security people to have, but they are known in the security world because they have such proficiency in that spectrum of security that they focus in. There's also like Crimson Security. There's Troy Hunt, who's the guy who created Have I Been Pwned. All these guys are great resources to get information from. But I believe Twitter and Reddit, sorry, that is the other one. Twitter and Reddit are the two main sources for security to get in. In Reddit, there's a channel called NetSec. A Reddit page called NetSec. I think those two, Twitter and Reddit, are the best resources.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you done grilling him, Tom?
That's kind of all I got. I mean, there's everything else was kind of answered.
All right. Well, I think we're going to let you off easy today, Itai.
All right. I was sweating.
Do you have anything you want to just shout out at the end?
If you guys need application security services, Gray Waters Information Security Services is at your side.
There you have it, folks. Gray Waters Information Security. They are the one security firm you need.
Yeah.
Or certainly the best. Certainly the best. Awesome. Thanks for coming on to do this with us, Itai.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no worries. No worries. And thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the DEVpreneur. Catch you guys next time.
See ya.